Namamantikang kongresista na milipit na sa kaba dahil sa napipintong pagbasura ng impeachment articles dahil sa mga problemang kinakaharap ng mga papeles nito ngayon. Mga kongresista, kahit umayak pa umano ng pako ay hindi mapipigilan ang pag-dismiss ng impeachment laban kay VP Sara. Pero bago ang lahat, kung hindi pa kayo nakapag-subscribe sa channel na ito, please do subscribe para mas maging updated pa kayo sa mga susunod kong mga videos. Isiniwalat na ni Tingog Party List Representative Jude Asidre na nag-aalingasaw na sa kaba ang buong House of Representatives ngayon dahil sa napipintong paglaho ng impeachment laban kay VP Sara dahil sa mga procedural na problema nito ngayon. Sa kabila nito, malaki pa rin ang paniniwala ng mga kongresista na malalagpasan nila ang impeachment dahil kung hindi, masasayang lang ang 150 million na pinamudmod sa kanila ni Romualdez. Samantala, narito ang pangdedepensa ni Asedre na kaya nilang isulong ang naturang impeachment.
My commitment to accountability remains strong. The case on the impeachment is a test of accountability, is a test on our political institutions, and the best way to move forward in my mind is ituloy natin ang proseso. At hayaan ho natin ang Senado at gampanan ho ng ating mga kaibigan sa Senado ang kanilang tungkulin na dinggin at maghusga sa impeachment case na sinubmit ng House of Representatives.
Sir, last na po, is there a need to comply with the second requirement?
Well, that is a question I will leave to the prosecutorial panel to address, no, because it would be something that's related not to the consideration of the prosecutorial team, but if you ask me, no, personally, we have done the impeachment. We have complied with our duty as in the 19th Congress, and I am of the opinion that that should be the starting point, rather than having to negate any of what we've done in the 19th Congress.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tina. We will now take questions from Bibian Gulia of ABS-CBN2.
Good afternoon, sir. Meron pong mga nagsasabi na imposible na raw na pagbotohan pa itong resolution sa Kamara na hinihingi, yung sa certification na hinihingi ng Senate, yung second requirement. Will that be accurate? Ano pong tingin ninyo dito? Or at this point, pwede pa rin po ba?
Even sa totoo lang, it's difficult for me to assume anything, no, until Congress has properly been convened, and then we would have to discuss. Of course, as always said, this is the 20th Congress we're talking about, and there might be, let's say, some processes that we have to undertake. But then again, my opinion is, my personal opinion is, anything we've done in the 19th cannot also be negated by the 20th. Kasi the fact of the matter remains that the Vice President has been impeached. And ang worry ko lang, sa totoo lang, no, with the proceeding as it is sana hindi naman malunod sa technicality ang ating kagustuhang mabigyan linaw ang pananagutan sa pangalawang pinakamataas na lingkod bayan ng ating bansa.
Your comment din, sir, may another senator na nagsabi yesterday na kung erase ng kampo ni Vice President Duterte before the impeachment court, yung mga arguments nila for the dismissal of the complaint ay pwede itong pagbotohan ng Senado, Senate Impeachment Court.
Well, the Senate will operate according to the rules, according to the impeachment rules that they presented. We just hope that everything will be done in the spirit of fairness and integrity, no, the integrity of the process, and also we're all katatapos lang ho namin manumpa lahat to uphold, to support the Constitution of the Philippines.
Thank you, Bibian. Milky Rigugnan from DCRH is now recognized.
Good Good afternoon, Congressman Isidre.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you support yung call for Congress na mas unahin daw po yung mas mahalagang panukalang batas ngayong 20th Congress? Number one, the repeal of the oil deregulation law and the legislated wage hike. Kasi ang sabi, kumilos nga daw ang Kamara pero last minute, yun ang puna ng Senado. Your thoughts on this?
Well, it would be very unfair to really consider no na sasabihin natin na tinagalan ng House. Kung makikita nyo yung version po natin sa Legislated Wage Act, kung saan isa tayo sa mga pangunahing may akda, nagpapakita ng stronger commitment ng mga members ng House na posible ang 200 legislated wage increase. So I think it would be unfair to say na kasi inupuan o pinatagal ng House, in the end, tayo po ang nakapag-justify ng mas mataas na legislated wage hike, which only warrants and also justifies the delay as may be perceived, no? The longer time required for us to be able to arrive at a decision. A decision that, of course, was carefully studied by the proponents of the legislated wage hike in the House. So in the 20th Congress, I also expect the same amount of diligence. Hindi, may mga bagay kasi na pwedeng madaliin. May mga bagay din na it would take time for us to build consensus. And we know naman sa usapin ng legislated wage hikes, sa usapin ng deregulation, ng oil deregulation, nandun pa rin ang pangangailangan natin magkaroon ng consensus. And it does not in any way, yung pagkagustuhan na magkaroon ng consensus, mean that we will not give our best to ensure its passage. But nonetheless, at least ngayon, no, part of the work, a significant part of the work of the research, of the debates have already been made at the 19th Congress. And so we expect also that this time around, we will be able to push for these bills more efficiently.
Kong Isidre, pero pwede bang mabigyan kami as early as now any scenario on the morning of July 28? Magiging busy ba ang House reporters sa mga ganap?
Well,
O meron pa bang maghahamon?
Sa totoo lang ho, regarding ho saan po? Sa leadership ng
leadership.
House. Sa totoo, hindi ko na ho nga naisip yung tungkol sa speakership. The speaker right now has 283 members of the 20th Congress who have expressed in writing their support for the speaker. I don't think this is anymore a question that needs to be resolved. That question has been the issue on the speakership has already been resolved many weeks ago, and I think our support for Congressman Martin Romualdez to be the next Speaker of the House remains strong as ever.
Salamat, Kong.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Milky. Your turn, Rosalie Cas from UNTV.
Hi, Kong. Earlier po, you mentioned na sa konstitusyon, after magawa ng House yung responsibility nito sa impeachment, ang sunod na po nito ay ang trial at ang decision po ng Senate Impeachment Court. Naniniwala po ba kayo na yung dalawang impeachment orders ng Senate Impeachment Court ay unconstitutional?
Okay, I don't want to complicate further the work of our prosecutorial team, no? Pero ako naniniwala in the end of it all, sisimplihan ko lang ho, sana hindi malunod sa technicality itong usapin ng impeachment. Ito po'y usapin ng accountability. Ibig sabihin po, lahat ho sana ng proseso ay nakatuon po sa katanungang kailangan bang husgahan, meron bang pananagutan ang isang opisyal na halal ayon sa ating saligang batas, ayon sa ating mga batas. Kung ang usapin lang po ng impeachment ay maiuwi kung i-dismiss dahil sa technicalidad, hindi ho natin na-serve ang original purpose ng impeachment process, that is to exact accountability from our elected officials. It would be difficult to ascertain at the moment, and I will leave it to the luminaries to decide whether what can be considered unconstitutional, such actions will be considered unconstitutional or not. But in my mind, more than the constitutionality, it should be the morality of what we're doing that should disturb us, not only elected officials, but everyday Filipinos.
Follow-up lang po. Since unprecedented po yung impeachment orders ng Senate Impeachment Court sa House of Representatives, does it warrant your compliance?
Well, that is also a question that we want to clarify with the Senate. If you notice dun sa compliance sa response po ng House, no, may subject to clarificatory actions, no, yung pag-comply ng House, and that is the thing that we also have to consider in this case. Kailangan ba namin mag-comply? To what extent? Sa anong pamamaraan? Yung pong katanungan. Kumbaga, Rose, pareho tayo ng tanong.
Okay po, thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Rose. Go ahead, Dinesh Kapanti from GMA Online.
Good afternoon, sir. Former VP Lenny Robredo and now Naga City Mayor. She said during her inaugural speech that she will remove the confidential funds for LGU, Naga City LGU. Tapos, I think just this morning, a mayor from Dumanjug, Cebu, he said na he will follow the lead of the former VP. Do you think, having said that, do you think LGUs should be still allocated confidential funds for the 2025 budget, given that this fund has been subject to controversies and massive alleged misuse due to difficulty in limited powers of agencies to audit this kind of fund?
Ako, honestly, hindi po ako, I think, no, personal ko po tong opinion, dapat hindi ho natin hinuhusgahan ang mga pondo dahil po sa mga nang-abuso dito. We have to also learn, we must also be able to ascertain the usefulness of certain mechanisms with the merits, with the good that they are able to do. And the same is case with confidential funds. May mga LGUs po na nakakatulong po ang confidential funds, especially kung may security threats po na nakaloob. At ayaw naman ho natin na gawing one size fits all lahat for all LGUs. So ano po ang pwede nating hakbang? Ang mga kinakailangan ho nating hakbang, katulad po ng mga nakaraan sa 19th Congress, paigtingin natin ang mga guidelines sa paggamit ng confidential funds. Isa po yun, pagsasaibatas nung mga joint memorandum circular na ginagamit ngayon at pagbibigay po ng mas focus na legislation doon sa mga pananagutan ng mga SDOs, pati po yung qualification nila. Doon po sa paggamit po ng fidelity bonds ng ating mga SDOs at lahat po na may custody ng confidential funds. Marami po tayong natutunan na mga gaps, regulatory gaps, practices na kailangan pong ayusin doon po sa hearing natin ng Committee on Good Governance, and Public Accountability noong nakaraang Kongreso. At yan po siguro ang kailangan nating gawin. Hindi naman ho natin pwedeng alisin totally ang confidential funds, especially in some municipalities or LGUs or even agencies of government kung saan malaking tulong din po ito para sa mga ginagawa nilang mga aktibidades related to public order and security or even like anti-insurgency measures. Pero ang mahalaga lang, inasayayos natin ang legal framework at yung paano po gagamitin. And also, to be sure na merong sapat na oversight ang COA, for example, at even po yung ibang mga agencies na may ganitong pananagutan.
Thank you, Linesca. Haji Camino from Brigada.
Good afternoon po, Kong Jude. Nag-file po ulit yung Makabayan Block, House Bill 209, if I'm not mistaken, na kung saan po yung anti-political dynasty bill ay kanila pong final. Your thoughts on this po, Kong?
Well, this is a personal position, no? I think, for me, political dynasties are not the problem, but rather symptomatic of the problem we have. Ang problema ho talaga natin is political participation. Paano natin gagawin na mas maraming Pilipino pa ang pwedeng makisali sa politika ng ating bansa? At maraming factors po ang kailangan natin konsidera. For example, education, political education ng mga tao, ang willingness ng mga tao makilahok sa mga gawain. Kasi ang politika dapat hindi lang ho panahon lang naman ng eleksyon. I understand where they're coming from and I understand perfectly the merits of the proposals to ban political dynasties. But I think rather than exclude people, mas mahalagang pagtuunan natin ng pansin ano yung mga pamamaraan para pasok natin at magkaroon ng pagkakataong makalahok ang mga qualified na mga Pilipino na may kagustuhan, may pagnanais at kapasidad na maging lingkod bayan ng ating bansa.
Kasi parang sinasabi po nila dun sa explanatory note nila, Kong. In fact, nung 2025 midterm elections daw po, parang marami na nanalo sa election ay part ng political dynasty. Tapos number 2, ang binabanggit po nila, meron naman po mga nanalo na kakaupo pa lang daw po sa pwesto. Piniprepare na po agad yung papalit sa kanila. Like for example, yung asawa or yung anak, parang pinaghahandaan na po agad.
Mahirap maging hukom, no, for the political decisions of certain individuals. In the end kasi lahat naman ng mga opisyalis ng bansa hinaharap ang mga tao, no, para ang mga botante sa tuwing kami tumatakbo for elections. My mind is just I think in many cases where political dynasties, so to speak, thrive, no, is also because there is little or there are few political opportunities for people to participate. Buksan ho natin yon. Bigyan ho natin ng pagkakataon kasi ang usapin ng politika hindi lang naman ho paglahok, pagtakbo ng eleksyon. Makilahok po tayo, makialam po tayo sa mga isyong pinag-uusapan at sa kadahilanan po yun, magkakaroon ng mas malawak na pangunawa ang ating mga kababayan sa estado ng ating politika. At I think, in my mind, that would be a more proactive manner of responding to political dynasties. Hindi naman siguro dapat, hindi naman fair ng isang politiko ay ating sasabihin ay hindi yan competent, hindi yan qualified sa kadahilanan lang kung sino ang magulang o kamag-anak nila. Dapat ang tanong natin, kaya ba niyang maglingkod? Nararapat ba siyang mahalal? At yan po ay hindi lang masasagot ng pagban ng political dynasties.